Guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. We're back here at Jaguar Land Rover St. Petersburg, and guess what? I have the baddest of all Land Rover Defenders ever made. It's this vehicle right here. This is the first ever 2025 Land Rover Defender Octa Edition 1. But before we get into this Nurburgring tested Land Rover, let's talk about what's going on here. So yes, you heard correctly. This is the first ever Land Rover SUV to be tested at the Nurburgring, the Nordschleife. What that means is they really wanted to focus not only on straight line performance, but also on handling. And this takes performance to another level when it comes to the Land Rover Defender. Not only are you gonna get massive big power underneath the hood, I'm gonna show you around this beast and you're gonna see just how tweaked and modified this is over a regular Land Rover. But what I wanna find out is this the SUV to get? If you're looking for luxury and you're definitely looking for performance, let's go ahead, let's dive into ours and find out. Right off the bat, one of my favorite colors, it's called Carpathian Gray, and I love the way it's a Carpathian Gray matte finish. It actually has a metal flake to the flat gray portion. Now, one thing that'll hit you like a ton of bricks as soon as you look at this Defender is extra wide fender flares. Because of our massive wheels and tires, we have even wider fender flares than what you get on your standard Land Rover Defender. Of course, you're gonna get that signature headlight design, the LED daytime running lamp, LED headlights. Love the way it has that sort of retro look with a modern twist. And then working our way down, not only do you have LED fog lamps, you have tons of functionality for the heat exchangers. I like this nice satin titanium color. And even on the bottom portion here, this is unique to the Octa, we have brake cooling ducts to help channel air for those massive Brembo brakes. But like I said, normally this Land Rover Defender would be used for off-roading, but this one has been fine-tuned to really perform on the asphalt. As we come across the front grille, we have the Defender name, not in plastic, but in forged carbon fiber. Unique upper grille that's fully functional to the Octa with your Land Rover badge in that British racing green color. Nice little Edition 1 badge, simple, elegant, tasteful. And then just like up top, unique shape gloss black on your mid grille with a forward-facing camera, and then even more functionality. Now, another signature sort of design to the Octa is the bronze toe recovery hooks. You'll notice you have that single one, massive in the center, and that nice kind of carved out area. What's even more phenomenal is that with the active air ride suspension, you put this in the highest setting with the 20-inch wheels and the off-road tires, you'll have 12.7 inches of ground clearance. That is freaking unheard of on a production off-roader. Obviously, ours is more with the street wheel and tire, but I kind of prefer that personally. But there's definitely no getting around just how sinister the front of this Defender Octa looks like. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Now, as we take the elevator ride back up, you got the bulge because we got the muscle, you got the forged carbon fiber, even forged carbon fiber on both sides. I'm gonna zonk it though. They should have made the whole thing carbon fiber instead of the gloss black. Now, as we go ultra wide, because of these ultra wide fender flares, what are we working with? Wheel and tire setup. Check it out. Love the gloss black wheel, V-spoke design. It's a 22-inch wheel. Look at these freaking bronze colored Brembo calipers. It's almost like Zeus reached down from the heavens and just bolted these calipers onto this beast. Tires are 275 on the width, 50 series sidewall. It's a 22-inch wheel, and they did work specifically with Goodyear to not only develop the off-road tire, but then of course with Michelin to develop the road going tire. Now, if you go off-road tire, it's gonna be a 20-inch wheel, 20-inch wheel with that beefy sidewall of the Goodyear Wrangler tire specifically developed for this. Brake rotors are 15.7 inches up front and over 14 inches out back. And then I'm gonna have Steven swing back in because look at what we got. All that air ride adaptive suspension. I don't know if Steven could kind of come on the corner here. You could see the steel braided lines for all the hydraulics and everything, your brakes, the suspension. So with those steel braided lines, there's less flex, which is gonna give you instant pedal feel and maximum pressure under braking. Plus they put a quicker steering rack in here with a better ratio, quicker ratio to really handle the twists and turns. I mean, like I said, they tested this thing at the Nurburgring. Coming down the side, you got functionality massive on these fender vents, forged carbon fiber with the Defender name in the bronze color. Two-tone black painted roof with the Carpathian matte finish. You have power folding mirrors that are gloss black and they have 360-degree cameras, color matched on the door handles, even along the bottom. You're gonna have that 4x4 system, whether you're going off-road or on-road, to get the power to all four corners. Working towards the rear, here is our Edition 1, that Octa Edition 1 badge. This is also on that front grille that Steven showed you. And then spin around back, look at the fender flare on this thing. Absolutely dead sexy. And then, Steven, how big are the calipers over here? I mean, look, we had those massive ones up front. All right, so that's the Zonk. You're getting standard floating calipers on the back, plus they're gloss black. Has anybody ever heard of cohesive design, people? If you have bronze up front, you gotta have bronze on the back. That's just the way it works, especially when you look at this price tag. Now, I've always liked the cool safari retro look to the back of the new Defender, full LED lighting. There's your bronze rear toe recovery hook. And then as we come around on this side, obviously the LED, you can see how the tailgate is painted black. We got our 22-inch wheel with those Primacy all-season tires. And then dropping down to ground level, look at the way they did the quad tip exhaust. Oh my heaven. Thank God for 7-Eleven, because quad tip exhaust, we're gonna let that V8 sing. And you could tow with this thing. Unbelievable. Look at those lower control arms underneath. Like I said, you could get up to 12.7 inches of ground clearance. That's freaking ridiculous. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and see what the big deal is of this big Defender. All right, guys, we got that hood popped. You do have hood struts. Underneath the hood, you do get an Edition 1, Octa Edition 1 specific engine cover, but it's really kind of boring. So I'm not loving the engine cover. That's a Zonk on a performance SUV like this, but I guess it's what's under the cover that matters, right? It's a 4-liter twin-turbo V8, 626 horsepower, 590 pound-feet of torque. It's made it to a ZF 8-speed automatic, 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds, quarter mile in 12.5 seconds, top speed 155 miles per hour, MPGs 15 in the city, 19 on the highway, and the vehicle weighs 5,900 pounds. Here's another crazy fact, that with the ground clearance, you could also go through 40 inches of water with this. So water fording of 40 inches, that's over 3 feet, people. But why don't we go ahead, we got a V8, let's fire it up and hear it sing. All right, guys, we are inside this 2025 Land Rover Defender Octa Edition 1. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, wow, this is really checking off the boxes for me. I'm really excited for it. How much is it? Good question. I hope you're sitting down. MSRP for the way that this one is equipped is right at $170,000. $920. I didn't want to leave any of that out. So we're going to find out what exactly you get when you go Octa. To the door panels. I do like all the soft touch material. It's like a neoprene wetsuit material. They bring the Carpathian gray inside the vehicle, which is nice. With those exposed screws, gives it a very sort of like industrial look. You got the Meridian premium sound system with black aluminum speaker grille covers, and then a door pocket with some dark chrome there that is large enough for a plate of bangers and mash and a big huge cup of tea. Now going from the door panel to the dash, you got your oh crap handle so that your passenger could hold on, the Defender name, your British baker's dozen of Twinkies, that's your Twinkie tray here, a USB-C, and then we have our almost 12-inch Pivi Pro system. It's got a nice kind of curve to the infotainment system screen, and obviously very, very intuitive. I like to go into dynamic because this is where you're going to have all the goodies like a stopwatch, exactly what you wanted when you got a Defender. Lap times, yes, you could do track days with this, and then all the other apps. We could go into cameras. Look at that. There we are. If the only way this could get better if Steven was in there. Please one of these days make it happen. And you can do a 360 spin, throw it into reverse, backup camera. Resolution's great. I just wish that it took more of this room. There's like a lot of dead space there, which doesn't need to be, obviously. And then right back where we started. This is going to control our Torque Flight 8-speed automatic. You have your dual climate control, heated seats, ventilated seats. You could raise and lower your Octa. You got your hill descent control, 2-speed transfer case, and the 4x4 system. All those goodies. Real volume knob. And then you're going to have forged carbon fiber on the center console. Down below, you got a USB-C. You have a 12-volt, and you got a place for 5 scones. Look at that. We got a little trap door. Here's where you could hide some more Twinkies. Say you got your mother-in-law sitting next to you. You don't want her to see your Twinkie stash. You could hide it right out of the way. 2 cup holders. Of course, you got to have a special. Look at that Octa Edition 1 key fob. Almost looks like the thing from the Dharma Initiative. Love the way you got your buttons on the back as usual. Wireless charging. Some of that leather with the stitching. Open it up. We got the cooler, baby. I like to have my Twinkies nice and chilled. And if you're into scones, a scone is supposed to be on the firm side. If a scone is soft, they call that a muffin. So you've been duped if you get a soft scone. Seats, the leather, very interesting shape with the bolstering. Full electric assist for the passenger, of course. Full electric assist for the driver. And Alcantara all over the headliner. We do have a power shade for that panoramic sunroof. And to top it off, you do have a digital rearview mirror. So you can see the competition behind you as you're pulling away. But why don't you come over here to the business end? I want to show you behind the wheel and also a very special button on the business side. Come on over. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. You do have 3 memory seat settings for the driver's seat. The Defender name that illuminates LED at night. Look at the way they got an Easter egg right there, Edition 1 Easter egg. And you could put 2 Easter eggs, actually you could put about 4 Cadbury eggs in there. By the way, I hate Cadbury eggs. Down below, you do have an aluminum brake pedal, aluminum throttle, and all-weather floor mats. That's worth an extra 5 horsepower. Seats are comfy as can be. They really cradle you very nicely. I'm 6 feet tall, plenty of room in here. Steering wheel, I love the blacked out look, the leather, the black Defender badge. Here is your Octa button. You hit this, and that unleashes the beast. And I'll show you when we go to look at the dash how that works. Flat black on the switchgear. You do have large paddles, but they're plastic. They should be forged carbon fiber, so that's a zonk. But you do have the paddles for the 8-speed. It is an electric tilting and telescoping wheel, of course. And then you have that 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. You could scroll through a cornucopia of information, but watch this when I hit the Octa button. Oh, yeah. You got a G meter. Yeah, I could hear the exhaust open up. And then, of course, you have that nice tag. Look at that. Ooh, baby. Can't wait to go on throttle. And you got a head-up display. But let's get in the back seat because I want to show you where your passenger is going to be yakety-yak-yakking as you're going through the twisty bits in this Octa. All right, guys, backseat time. What I love about this 110 is that it's just 2 rows. The 130 is too freaking massive. What is crazy though, look at the massive amount of forged carbon fiber on the back of the seat. You do have some pockets where you could put maybe a copy of Moby Dick, maybe A Tale of Two Cities, or maybe 2 copies of Moby Dick. Depends what you're into. Now in the back command center here, you do have your AC vents, heated seats, ventilated seats, dual climate control, 2 USB-Cs. I'm sitting here and I'll tell you right now, the seats are very, very comfortable. That goes without saying. They don't slide. But the good news is you have a nicely padded armrest, 2 cup holders, and the seats basically look exactly the same as the seats up front, which I know that may sound like common sense, but it's not so common. Love the Safari glass. That's another thing I hope Steven's showing it, is the Safari glass in a Defender. It has that classic style that you just can't find anywhere else. But why don't we go ahead, let's get into the cargo area, because I want to go through the twisties in this Octa. All right, guys, cargo area time. Now, being a Defender, it has a very unique way of getting into the cargo. You open up the door. What's nice is you could put your emergency Twinkies back here, your track day Twinkies, because this obviously is made for the racetrack. Lots of cargo space. What I don't like is, I hate this security cover because it's flaccid. So if you're used to holding on to flaccid things, then you're gonna like this. But me personally, I'm not digging it. It's not my favorite of security shades here. But you got all the usual cargo room. That back seat will fold down, and this is where you're gonna want to keep your stash of money so that you can buy fuel for this thing. Because with that thirsty V8, you're gonna need it. Why don't we go ahead? We got it all closed up. Let's fire up this Octa, and we're gonna go for an on-throttle Octa drive. All right, guys, we're behind the wheel of this Land Rover Defender Octa, and what's great about it is that this is really the pinnacle of Land Rover Defender performance, especially when it comes to handling. Right away, you're going to immediately recognize that the steering is definitely quicker in this vehicle. And remember, they changed the whole steering rack to a quicker ratio than what's on other Defender models. Another thing you're gonna notice is, of course, the massive braking capability because of those ginormous rotors and calipers, especially up front. And if you ever wondered why do they have larger calipers always up front, is because that's where the weight transfers. So when you're on the brakes, weight goes forward. So of course, to help slow the vehicle down and resist all the forces, you gotta have beefier brakes because of all that extra weight that's being transferred forward. Just like any other Land Rover Defender, you got great visibility out the front, even out the back with the spare tire that's mounted. Still plenty of great visibility. And the way that they tune the suspension in this, it doesn't feel like you're wiggle wagging all over the place. It really is buttoned up pretty well for a vehicle of this type. I'm gonna go ahead and shut the traction control off, and that's gonna help us as we go through the twisty bits. At least help me as I go through the twisty bits, because I don't need that extra nanny riding my back while we're driving this Defender Octa. Now, of course, everywhere you look and feel, it feels as it should in a Defender. I just wish there was more forged carbon fiber. I think that would make sense at $170,000. But you're getting that great sound from the V8. Love the sound. It's a very clean V8 sound. It's not too obnoxious, and it's definitely not too quiet. The paddles, even though they may not be carbon fiber, it does allow you to shift very nicely. They're well within reach, and they're a good size, so that's a good plus for this vehicle. And then you got that nice large head-up display. Tells you what your speed is, shows you the tach, and what gear you're in, which is awesome as well. But definitely with the street setup on this, it rides actually really well. I actually like the way it rides better than a standard Defender. And the fact that this has been whipped around the Nurburgring, you could feel all that hard work and credit that goes to testing at that track, just because it has such a variety of different things that the vehicle experiences. But why don't we go ahead, let's go on throttle. You ready? On throttle, here we go. Yeah! This thing really builds up speed very quickly on the brakes. Nice downshifts. Look at this. We're in a Land Rover Defender going through the twisty bits, and I actually feel pretty darn good. Nice, look at that. Look at the way it just turning is so crisp. It not only surprises you, but it's like you think it and it already is moving. That is the proof in the eating of the pudding, that this thing really is legit when it comes to handling capability. But the 8-speed does a good job of shifting. Look at this. Balance very, very well. And we don't have a low center of gravity in this thing, I promise you that. It's got a nice quiet experience besides the V8 sound, which is what you want. Not a lot of wind noise, definitely not a lot of road noise with the street going tires. But I love the way when you're in dynamic mode, it has the G meter, it has all of your other important information, your gear indicator, and of course that large tach right in the center. But let's go through the twisty bits one more time, because that's where this thing really, really shines. So getting up to speed on the brakes, nice downshift, look at this. Yee-hoo! I love it. I mean, it does have body roll, but it's manageable, and it actually allows you to read what the asphalt is doing below you. I mean, look at this. That's really respectable in this type of SUV. But I hope that this has been a good, quick overall review of what this Defender Octa is bringing to the table. We're gonna go ahead and get back to Land Rover St. Pete, Jaguar Land Rover St. Pete, and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys. It's crazy what Land Rover is bringing with this Octa first edition. Definitely want to thank Miro and the rest of the crew getting us access to their very first one. Let me know what you think. Is this the must-have of these performance SUVs? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit the subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raised Rights family. We need to give it up to Stephen Flood. He's the man with the plan, and his plan is after this, he's gonna go pump some iron, because guess what? He watched the documentary. He's pumping the iron now. The next step is his bodybuilding competition. So thank you, Stephen, for all that you're doing. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.